Did you know that you can ask ice questions? I did learn that at globebusters show. First of all, I want to thank you all, members, subscribers, you who watches my video, and all of you who have donated money via PayPal, Super Chats, Super Thanks. Together we have raised a lot of money to Ukraine. More about that in the description. Let's start the video. My two latest videos have been about a flat earther who thinks that weather is man-made. This time I will visit globebusters show, and there I learned that you can ask questions to ice. The stupidity begins.
So the question is there a you? Now I know what you're saying because I have friends who astral travel. There are lots of stories out there about people who have what you call a near-death experience where they come back. And I think later we should get into the works of Vita Austin. I don't know if you've run into her and her work with water, freezing water and talking to it and asking it questions. Have you heard of her?
No, that sounds kind of like Masaru Emoto, but different.
Astral traveling and a woman who asks questions to ice. Let's move on.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, there's a thing they always, speaking of density, what you were saying, we're always told that our body is 70% water, but that's not true. Actually, we're starting to find out our body's more like over 90% water, but the weight and density of the 10% makes up 30% of our total weight and mass, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So we're 90% water, but the 10% that isn't weighs a lot more than the water. And the work she's doing is crazy because what she started doing, DNA is a theory. I don't know if people know this, but...
Oh dear, here we go. So DNA is fake.
Crick and Watson made this all up. It's the water around DNA, not DNA itself, that's forming what they're trying to call this double helix, if that's even true. They've never seen that in real life.
This makes no sense at all. It's made up by a person, but water forms the double helix, but he don't believe it exists. Okay.
So Vita, what she did is she started talking to water and then freezing it, and then taking it out of the freezer. There's a little more to it. There's a method she uses. But she said, "Do you know who I am?" And she took it out and it wrote her initials, VA, just the way she signs her autograph.
Oh, wow.
She started showing it pictures and asking it questions, and it started responding. In fact, I can send you a link if you want to pull this up so people can see some of what she's doing.
Okay.
And I do that how? I guess I put
just drop it in the chat or on the Skype chat.
Okay, so if you open that up, and there's
right.
some, you can you'll see some examples and show. Yeah, there you go. And if you scroll down, I think you can say show more under each of those blocks. And yes, so you can see show more. You can see more before. Oh yeah, all of the, and the other one too.
Yeah,
so
okay.
What she's doing, sometimes she lays a picture over the water, or puts a water petri dish over a picture and freezes it, and then a picture comes. Sometimes it draws the same thing, but a totally different picture. She asks it questions, she talks to it, and it responds to her in its own kind of way.
Wow.
Now, this gets into what Emoto was talking about, when he was saying mean things to water, or put labels on plants with water saying, "I love you, I hate you," and the plants would die or the rice would go bad. Mm-hmm. Now you got to start thinking we're 90% water. Now, when all these people are saying, there's a lot of books that have like 20 proofs for reincarnation. This girl was born and she drove by her house and remembered that she grew up there, or one kid identified his murderer in a past life, right? We've all heard a lot of these stories. The question is that me, Or is it the water inside me that holds that memory, and the person occupying that body has tapped into their water, their infinite etheric water consciousness? This starts getting into the ether, like you were saying, when Rupert Sheldrake did those experiments with your dogs where they had these atomic clocks set to each other, and then you'd go to work 50 miles away, and then you didn't know when you were going to get a call, but as soon as it was time to come home, the experimenters would call you, and immediately their dogs would jump up from a nap, run to the window when they got the phone call immediately.
Yes.
No way. We're talking about the ether with that, but the question is it the water, not the ether, or both? Or is ether and water two different forms of the same thing? Now this starts getting interesting. Are people having a past life recall, memory experience, or are they tapping into the water or the ether or both? And this is what's giving them the memory they desire, because they are consciously asking questions to the water.
Mm-hmm. And acting as a co-creator. And by the way, Steve, this is extraordinary. So she asks the water a question or shows them a picture, right? Like what we're seeing, and the water is actually responding with these.
Yes, it talks to her.
Unbelievable.
She'll think about someone getting married or a friend or whatever, and then it'll draw her a wedding ring. And it does it in its own kind of creative way every time. Yeah, you can see it. And on that website, when you go to videos, she has a film which is incredible. Everyone should watch this, called The Secret Intelligence of Water. And it's just mind-blowing. So this is a brand new cutting-edge science that is going to change our understanding of everything. So right now we're sort of having caveman conversations because there are new sciences coming out that might obsolete everything we even say tonight.
Boy, I guess this is absolutely astounding. I've never seen anything like this. And of course, I have heard the theory advanced that ether and water are one and the same thing. And I can't dismiss that, that's entirely possible. But it just seems like this medium is this multi-textured material that is able to change or manifest. I think that it has to do with cymatic energies going into it. But, that's because that's how I think creation is made anyway. But I just don't know what to think about this. This is incredible. Look at that 4. That's unbelievable.
So, DNA is not science, it's made up. But this crap, this is real science.
Yeah,
this is happening when she is freezing it, right? It's an ice response. Is that correct?
These
are all frozen. Now, I want everybody to remember that when things shift over, again, when water shifts to ice, it's, again, a snowflake in that. Anytime you go into a solid, that's what defines a solid. A solid is the organization and the intelligence, again, the architecture to the solid itself, the minerals. So you have, again, diamonds and different crystals that grow into the perfect geometry with the water going into it. Usually when you freeze it into ice, if it freezes naturally and slowly, you get the beautiful snowflake. You freeze it in your freezer just as ice with no care to it. It stays. It's frozen out of sequence. It's called amorphous, actually. It's frozen where it has no organization. But this is doing a slow freezing and letting it intellectually organize.
Yeah, and what's incredible is what Bob was saying with the grid. If you look at the picture under the 4, and then there's the black woman underneath and then next to her. So what she does there is she'll take that picture of that woman and she'll put a petri dish with the water on top of that. Then she'll freeze it. But the funny thing is the water draws that woman, but it draws it its own special way. You notice it's not a carbon copy. It's doing art. Now you got to start thinking where artists are getting their inspiration. And like you're saying, Cammy, when a snowflake freezes, it's always in these perfect geometry grids. Well, that has no conscious intention of ours in it. That just has what the universe, the Earth. Right. So that might be that the grid is what's programming the crystalline structure of water and crystals and snow. But as soon as you put some intention into it, you start getting what she's getting. You can see it drew its own 4. That doesn't look like her 4. see how her 4 overhangs, like her 4 sticks out on the right side, but that 4 doesn't. It stops at the stem. See that?
No, it stylizes and takes on its own artistic rigging on everything, especially the face. The face is fabulous. You go into the next one and it turns it into royalty. Look at this. Look at the headdress. Look at the headdress and the eaves coming down on this. This is history. This is a memory. It's a response. It's like giving a different showing in a different era or a different time.
It's so obvious fake, but those fools at Globebusters, they believe it.
Just fabulous. I know Zach in the show chat too on our show did the rice experiment. The Too Nice for Rice is his nickname because Zach could not make himself yell at the rice to turn it brown when they, you know, the rice experiment, don't you, Steve?
Scream at rice to make it brown? Oh, how stupid can a human being be?
I did them on flowers actually once because my ex-wife didn't believe that stuff. She said it was voodoo. So I went to the kiosk, the mall, and they had these. You could get these little. I can't remember, they were lilies or something. They were on sale because they were almost on their way out. So I bought one batch that came together. I put one in one vase, one in the other, same water from the sink, and I just wrote the word love with a marker on a sticker on one and hate on the other. I didn't even say I love you, just love, hate. And the one that had the love stayed, it bloomed, they opened, and they stayed for 3 weeks. And the other one was dead within 4 days.
Now we have the proof. Globebuster is a really scientific show. Write the sign and put it in your flowers and they live longer.
So it is true. Now, I don't know if that's you. Look, every time you look at that label and read it, you start, like you're saying, Bob, maybe you're sending intention by thought, you know, by seeing that. I didn't do an experiment where you put them in a room and don't look at them for 3 weeks and see if it still happens. I don't know if it's, or if it's even the intention you had when you wrote the word with the marker on the sticker. You know what I mean? I don't know what's making that happen. I can just tell you that just like the Zach's rice experiment, mine had the same results.
The rice is still white.
His rice is still white,
There's no mold on my rice. I still have it. All 3 of them.
It's just too nice, that's all.
They did it orally where they were talking to the rice instead of writing things down. They were giving it oral messages, and everybody else was managing to turn their rice brown and dirty. But Zach was like, the rice never did anything to me. How can I yell at it? And appreciate, you know, obviously the rice appreciated that attitude because it's still pristine after all of these years. These pictures are breathtaking. The hands right there that I'm looking at, oops, I'm on different screens. You had it up before, the sun's hands. Where it does the multiples.
I thought you'd love this, Cammy, as a crystal person.
You're right. As a crystal person, I'm seeing creation, and you're right. I couldn't love anything more. I'm going to be quiet and keep on listening to you, Steve. This is amazing.
Well, I'd like to hear. I would hearing what the panel thinks about this. I'd like to hear what everyone's thoughts are, if they have any other thoughts on what's going on here.
Well,
yeah.
Go for it.
I've got to say that I know. Whenever I'm trying to figure something out, you know, how to test something or how to set up a test, it's weird. I'll go into the shower and I will come out with the answer. Every time I have water pouring over my body like that.
Same thing with me, Zach. Exactly the same thing. When you take a shower, it just comes to you.
If that's the case, I don't think Bob did take a shower before he was in the Netflix documentary 15 degrees per hour.
It's weird.
It's weird.
And I walked to the river. I walked to the river to get the thoughts and touch the water. You do. And dreams, and through dreams, it's amazing.
I guess you never really think about, you know, the water and the influence that it has, but when you're around it, I mean, for whatever reason, water seems to bring that state of mind that is either comforting or relaxing or something, but it allows you to communicate not only with the outside world or the ether, but with yourself as well. And I find that really interesting because I never, like I said, other than Dr. Emoto's experiments, I never really thought about it, you know? And I still find his experiments amazing, the way that the ice crystals respond to his messages. That, you know, I mean, that tells me that there's an intelligence there that is absolutely aware of what's going on.
So ice is intelligent. I think it depends on what you're comparing it to. If you compare it to a flat earther, perhaps I can agree.
Yeah, and then when you think we're 90% water, you got to start asking where our intelligence comes from, our artistic ability, creativity, you know, artists and writing and creativity, you know, our right brain. What
Our
is
dreams.
this? Yeah, but where are these dreams coming from? Are they the water? You know what I mean?
I've got all kinds of things going through my mind right now. I'm just like thinking about like maybe there's a deeper reason as to just why we pee. Okay, now I want to suddenly start freezing my pee and see what happens.
Kyle Adams, I must warn you. If your frozen pea has more intelligence than you, what will then happen? Oh, my brain hurts. I can't listen to more stupidity this time. I hope you liked this video. It shows that those flat earthers, they will believe any stupidity without any evidence at all. Okay, that was all for this time. Thank you all who helped me help Ukraine. More information in the description is cool. See you soon. Have a nice day. Bye.